conduct any official business due to lack of quorum, but hopefully we can still have some okay discussions. We will first start by having our guests introduce themselves.
Hi, hello, my name is Gabriel Benson. I am a part of the Documenters program. It is a group of researchers, journalists, a bunch of different people. And what we're trying to do is make these meetings more public and more like accessible to people. So I'm just going to be taking notes in my corner here, and then I'll be giving it to my manager, and she'll be posting it on documenters.org. You could go and read whatever I've written. We have written.
Well, thank you for being here. Feel free to ask any questions, engage if you want to.
Gabriel, glad to have you here. I actually just heard about this organization and I was really excited to see that it was going on.
I'm actually the first documenter meeting ever in Bismarck.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So do you get assigned or are you able to choose kind of where you'd like to start?
It's you apply for different meetings, and then it depends, like if you have more under your belt, they're gonna try to get someone who doesn't to go on first. But more often than not, they're gonna try to get you to the meetings you would like to go to.
Very cool. Well, glad to have you here.
Call for public comment. Second call for public comment. And third and final call for public comment. Okay, so we just, and I apologize, it's my first one without quorum. So do we just add approval of these meeting minutes to next month's meeting?
Yep,
correct?
we'll just carry them over. So for next month, you'll just have 2 sets of minutes.
All right, so we'll move on then to community conversations. Just for everyone's awareness, I was able to reserve room A at the library for July 24th. And then November 14th. We have those rooms, or that room from 5 to 9, again with the event in intent to go from 6 to 8, which I believe is what we did last time. And we were pretty much still there until we were kicked out. So what I will do for the July one, because that's coming up very quick, is I will have, I think I'm just going to make, instead of trying to send out a doodle poll and gather, I'm just gonna put out 2 times that for an executive committee and have Whitney send it out to us, not executive, I'm sorry, a subcommittee, so that we can meet and get it going. I believe our last subcommittee was you, Sergiana, you and myself, right?
I wasn't there. No, that was
No?
that was-
Oh, it was Gabby.
I think you were wanting to, but not able to.
Yeah.
So we'll
Yeah.
get that going because, and the first one's probably gonna be a short notice meeting, and I apologize for that. But try to get one here as soon as I can, and then, because we need to get invites out to our panelists.
Did we decide if we're gonna focus on the theme of like cross disability or whatever we want to talk
I
about?
think that based on the community feedback and then our conversation at the last meeting, that seemed to be the direction we were going. So I think, based on our panel, or like our committee, maybe definitely Sergiana,
Mhm.
definitely want her input on the subcommittee. And then, are you pretty well versed in that, or?
Not as much. I mean, somewhat, I guess. So, yeah, I'd have to think about that.
Okay.
There is, as you guys know, a lot of crossover between behavioral health and
Yeah.
especially developmental and intellectual disability. But I haven't done as much in terms of like aging and other disabilities, so I'd be happy to brainstorm for sure.
I think what I'll do is I'll connect with Sergiana. She's on vacation this entire week. But maybe I'll have her spearhead the subcommittee since I leave essentially for the next 2 weeks. Following that, and she'll definitely be a subject matter expert. So
Yeah.
I'll connect with her, have Whitney send out an email with a date, time, and a place, and get that going. Because need those invites out very soon. Any follow-up on that?
Did we have a loose idea for the November one?
I don't think we discussed that at all. I think July, August, September. Honestly, I think if we just go into July's community conversation, knowing that we want to read that follow-up immediately, even if we get that subcommittee again together before the following meeting, because it was really the community that directed us towards this one.
Yeah.
So I think listening to their feedback would be great. Does that sound good? Okay.
Yeah.
Community events. So we have Capital Pride, June 15th. Sergiana has sent out an email requesting signups. So we can sign up for a short period so that we're not out there all day. And if I would recommend too, even if we need to ask a friend or someone else that we know is a friend of our committee, I think we might have a hard time filling it based on, I think last I had heard it was just myself and her that had actually signed up for it.
Yeah, I'm on vacation that week, and I think Gabby said she is as well.
Gabby's gone as well.
Yeah.
So we're gonna be,
Yeah.
I've signed up for the ending shift.
Okay.
I have an event that morning that I have to be at that goes until 2, but I'll leave. Can be there. Just a heads up. It may be moving
okay,
because there is now a possible large political rally that's going to be going on the Capitol law in that same time and space. So it would have been off to the side. Pride would have been off to the northwest in that lot, kind of the legislator lot. But now that there's a possibility of a large political rally, they're having to scramble because it may actually shut down the whole Capitol grounds. So they're looking at Kiwanis Park along with Bismarck. That's the chair of the Pride Committee is also the chair of Bismarck. He just has to check with the vendors because they already have the park. So I'll try and keep everyone updated if that suddenly pivots.
even if the location changes, time will stay the same and everything like that.
Correct.
So, and then we do have Whitney, these were the new bags she got for us to hand out. They're a little different than the last one, but I think they'll still go over really well. So it's kind of exciting. So Juneteenth then would be the next one. There is an email in your pile of papers here that was just came in today. Unfortunately, we're not able to make any decisions on them. We're able to provide any type of financial support. I don't. Our next meeting's what, June 17th, so, but I will stay in contact with Geraldine and see how we can support in other ways then. I'm sure we'll have a booth there, because I think it said 0 to 250. So I will be able to have a booth even if we're not able to financially support.
So let's go for it.
Is there any, I'm just like, just learning about quorum, is there any workaround to that? I mean, I would say that Juneteenth would really align well with the purpose and mission of our group. I'd be happy to like get together sooner than that if it would allow us to financially support them, but I ultimately don't know where we are with the budget and things like that, so.
I think budget wise, we're fine. I'm not a budget person. I'm trying to read this. My thing was that I had asked for kind of what our money would be being used for specifically, and this doesn't really address that.
Yeah.
And I mean, if they have a committee, maybe it's similar to the Martin Luther King committee where they have, even if we decide on the 17th to support them, maybe that money then retroactively, like
One thing, we had already decided as a committee previously that we wanted to be a part of this. So I believe we would be able to take action moving forward with getting this supporter InfoBoost sponsorship going at a $0. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And actually, correct me, Jason, if I'm wrong, but when we decided to be as a committee that we wanted to support this, we had already set up a budget with community support. So we wouldn't need a specific action today, correct?
If we look back at, what was it, really the February meeting minutes, I think there were kind of general categories that the group had established and participation, booth rental, or not booth rental, but booth fee was one of those items that was identified.
But I think we still had to vote on each individual.
I believe the reason it's on here is because we already had voted Pride, Juneteenth, Bismarck.
We stated that we so be there in the booth capacity, because I specifically asked before we made a motion, any dollar amounts that we have an idea what we were spending our money on.
Got it.
Like that was a very, I remember that specific ask.
So even if we just do the supporter info group and then on the 17th, if we have quorum, just decide on enough at that point. But I think to get a table there would be good.
Yeah, like,
Okay,
and that we had already agreed to be there. We just hadn't agreed on or voted on a financial contribution. So I think we'll be good there. I'll just confirm. I'll follow up with Geraldine and Molly, letting them know that we were there.
it's at, I don't believe it's at Kiwanis. It is at Sibley.
And so on.
Yep, Sibley Park.
Where are you seeing?
It's on the second page, second. Bismarck second annual Juneteenth celebration in Sibley Park. It's a festival of culture and unity.
Just trying to see if it was on our flyer.
It's from 3 to 7.
Yes, and
3 to 8, the booster sets.
Okay.
3 to 8.
everything's going on.
I put 3 to 8 just to make sure.
So I will for sure be able to be there to do, I can take the committee's role of like going out, setting up the table, doing everything. It's a federal holiday, so I don't have to work that day. So then if, more people can come after work, then,
yeah, I can be there like 4:45.
yeah, so.
Yeah.
So I don't think we'll have any problem manning it as long as
Yeah.
I can be there the whole time if needed. If not, I'll for sure be able to set up and get us going.
Good.
And then I'll go out in a follow-up email as well, just reminding people. Okay. Moving on there, Bismarck. So there is another email from Gabby here with the dates that following dates were available: July 13th, 20th, 27th. November 7th, 14th, or 21st. And I don't know if we just want, I could easily create a Google or just a poll and have Whitney send it out and whatever we get the most votes on.
Let's do that.
That way, in case we don't have, again, one person there all day long. Send out a
I'm
poll.
gonna pick one for July, one for September.
One for July and one for September, yep.
Okay.
It's from 10 to 1, so they're not super long, and it's not a long day by any means. But as we know, if 3 people say they'll be there, we may be lucky if we have. So, we'll just send out a poll. Any more conversation on the biz market? Okay, so we're gonna have to, the Global Neighbors Gala, I can update you, we'll have to add it to our June meeting as well. So speaking with Jasmine and Leah, the director and co-director, they've decided not to move forward with the gala this year just for a number of reasons. It did not make sense for the organization to do it this year, at least not right now. As you know, we had already committed $250 of our budget to them. So what we will need to discuss next meeting is if we would like them to return that money to us. She's happy to return the $250, or if we could vote and move it towards World Refugee Day, which is June 22nd. They're actually, it's a very cool event this year. In the past, they've done potlucks and things like that, but this year they're actually hosting it at Biz Market in partnership with them, so that any of the new Americans are they're able to sell items that they make, food, everything like that following there. And then they're going to have celebrations, dance, just essentially turning that Biz Market into kind of a Global Neighbors event while also supporting other community members. I asked what it would look like if our money went to support that event. Because there's not a lot of overhead costs then on the Global Neighbors part. And what they were hoping to do, with or without our money, but in general, was provide vouchers for the families that are going to be showing up so that they can purchase food at Biz Market, and just participate, because for a lot of them, having to buy the food would be a financial barrier for them. So our money could then potentially be used to provide vouchers for Global Neighbors community. Provide vouchers for them to then put it back into local vendors again. And they would be specific for food, like they can't go buy other items with
Right.
it. That's what it would be specifically used for. Because in the past, we would have potlucks where everybody we would bring our own food, so there really wouldn't be a lot of cost for participants. So yes, so that's just something to think about, kind of an update there.
Would we have a booth or no?
They would definitely let us, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And again, I'll be there all day. And I've actually asked Dakota Media Access, I'll follow up with Justin. They're thinking of potentially, if they have the manpower, to even go live from there for some point, or potentially record some stories of the new Americans and people that are out there celebrating World Refugee Day and share them at a later time as well. So
Just a suggestion, but I wonder if it would be helpful just in terms of our time to consider joining for World Refugee Day and then maybe not doing Biz Market in July. Because July, we're gonna be, especially those weeks, we're gonna be really focused on that community
Yeah.
conversation. It just feels like maybe I'd rather do Juneteenth and World Refugee Day, because I feel like there are things that it's gonna be a community of people that we want to connect with, right? So just a suggestion. I know we can't make that an official.
it's a great idea. Because if you look at and we're asking a lot of this committee in June, which is already a pretty heavy month for a lot of people. So I think that's a great suggestion. So. Anything else following under community events? We're all comfortable with Pride, right? I mean, that one will be before, so we'll just have to stay in touch via me an email. And if you have any friends that are wanting to volunteer, if there's any concerns about time that don't line up with our sign up genius or whatever, just have them reach out to me. And
One thing I may do is I can talk to the coordinators and see if they can set up our booth next to some other booths that we're all a part of, like Sanford or,
yeah, because Gabby, I think.
because I have a booth too that from another org that I'm out there with every year. And so folks that I know at that booth would love to help.
And that actually even, AFSP would be another one. They're always there. They usually have quite a few volunteers that would definitely help them with that. Okay, for communications and marketing, I have not provided Caitlin anything to post, so that's really it, but we still have those options. So with June coming around, I'm thinking with all of the events, so I'll shoot him an email and see how we want to kind of, because it would be nice if he talked about how we can showcase events that we want to draw attention to beforehand and not just after the fact that we were a part of. So I'll communicate with him because if we're looking at 15th, 19th, 22nd, and then Monday, a reminder on the 17th for the public about our meeting. That's a full week packed of social media posts. So I need to make sure it aligns with his strategy. So follow up there. Ordering promotional materials. So we've got the bags, we've got plenty of business cards. And I think that's, I don't know, I can't remember off the top of my head. Are we ordering other things?
I believe we were gonna try and provide what they was ideas or had we provided.
There. We'd recommended sunglasses, but
Might have. I just remembered, but wasn't it neat, like, there was like a new vendor or something she was gonna get, that new vendor was gonna make up some ideas or something too.
no, that sounds maybe.
Whitney, would you be willing,
Oh,
if we're
So-
correct or?
So yes, she contacted me back, but their prices were quite a bit greater than what your budget is. It was gonna be like thousands of dollars for or $1,000 for one item.
Can I get that in writing so we can supply it towards our budget increase?
The only problem with sunglasses, I could do like words that say Bismarck Human Relations Committee. But if you wanted your logo on them, it makes it really tiny
Mm,
because it's like a circle. And so if it was more of a rectangle, it would maybe fit better.
Do you know what kind of a turnaround on those? Cause did you just look at the sunglasses we had previously ordered? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, that was before you guys changed your logo.
Okay. Do we think just having the name on it be worth it or no?
Can we even make a decision?
Oh. Yes, I believe we could because we've appropriated money for it. And it's already been previous discussions. Are we walking a thin line here?
I'm not the attorney, but I'm not the one that wants to get anybody in trouble here. You know, I would err on the side of caution.
Although with this one, I'm pretty sure if we look back at our minutes, we kind of just gave her free rein to order. I don't,
We said we wanted sunglasses, stickers and bags or something along those lines because they were the most popular.
we've never, and we do have the budget allocated and we've never specifically, we haven't capped like.
But it is May 20th and I don't know the turnaround
I agree.
time or something along those lines. How much product do we have right now, Whitney? Do you know offhand? Is it what's in the case?
Cause I have quite a bit of stickers, the business cards, and quite a few of those little notebooks. then
And
we have-
so we were questioning ordering more pens because we're all out of pens. I guess I would say we have enough stickers and I did buy 100 more bags.
Let's just roll with it.
I think we'll be fine. I
Yeah.
think the bags are really gonna be, I mean,
We'll get a gauge, you know, if this all goes, then we can look at reordering for events later in the year when we have quorum. I think that would be good. And maybe we can just pick up some candy or something like we did before.
Yeah.
Okay.
So just like a pack of multicolored sunglasses, they're like neon party sunglasses. Without the logo is a 16 pack is about $13.
I feel like there's so much stuff already at the event to grab that for me, it seems hard to spend the money if it doesn't have.
Yep. Yeah, can we just make sure we have enough brochures?
Yes.
Yep, and we've got a lot of those really the nice little business cards too.
Okay.
Yep.
So I actually purchased brochure paper. It's supposed to be a little bit glossy. So we can, if you just let me know how many you want, I can have those printed and ready for somebody to pick up.
What do you think?
150.
Can we do 150, Whitney?
Sure.
And that'll give us an opportunity to talk, explain what it is and hand them off.
You might consider laminating a bigger QR code for your volunteer signups, and then you can lure people in with conversation and say, if you'd like to learn more, you can scan this code and volunteer and be a part of these events in the future.
And so all of your volunteers who have submitted that form online, I add them to like our email. So anytime I send new agendas or things like that, those volunteers get them as well.
Could we loop them into the sign up thing with Sergiana for Right?
Yeah, I can send those to her. I think
Okay.
there's 2 right now. So there hasn't been a lot of activity.
Perfect. So we may utilize this. If you're able to do that QR code, that would be awesome.
You can take it to every event,
Yep.
have multiples on your table, just a little stand and should get volunteers.
Are we able to do a QR code for that and for like podcasts?
Yes, because we're in a direct competition with another podcast, so we need as many people to listen to it as they can.
Historical one, right?
Jason's podcast.
Oh.
Not competitive about it all.
Okay. Is this something administrative that we could just talk to Whitney about after the meeting?
I think as staff, we know what you're looking for.
Okay.
We can get you the materials to help with your event.
Okay.
We've got a laminator here, we've got the QR code generator, we can make those and you can use them. It'll be fine.
In my mind, the one would be for volunteering and then a second sheet would have maybe QR codes to Spotify, Apple.
Actually, the one
For the
QR
pod.
code will go to Spreaker and then they can just, so Spreaker is like the host and then from there you can go to Apple, Spotify. I mean, you're right. It would be nice to have Apple, Spotify, Amazon, Spreaker. But
People will go to Spreaker and be like, what is
Spreaker is
this?
good if you're like,
I've
it's
never
a
heard
website,
anything.
like it's good if you're on your computer. If you're taking a picture with QR code, you're not gonna be on your computer. So, is that asking too much, Whitney? That'd be Kaylin's job, right?
Well, I'm just wondering if maybe just a QR code to your guys' page on the website. And then it has like the QR code to get to these are your neighbors, but it also has all your other resources.
Yeah.
And we could maybe even move the podcast up on your page too, if you wanted that to get more
So this is
views
like,
without having to scroll.
because the QR code right now takes you to, this is what Spreaker looks like with our podcasts. But yeah, if we could maybe make I told them not to put it at the top because I felt like it was very selfish of me. Yeah. I think that would work well, Whitney, if we moved it. Even to just, I'll talk to him, but if you guys are looking at it, I apologize, but right now it's like towards the bottom.
Mhm.
I think we keep our overview, our monthly meetings, the agenda, but then before the committee members, we could put the podcast. Do you think so? 'Cause then it would be a quick view versus, do you think we keep it in that order?
Don't know. I just know that if I have my phone and I click on a
Yeah.
QR code and it takes me to Spreaker, I'm gonna be like, well, what's the point of this? I'm never on Spreaker. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm not gonna download another app thing or website to
Oh.
do that.
Okay. I'll, is it Kaylin that makes the QR codes, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh.
he made the last one.
I'll email him or call him. Cause I mean,
And then would it make sense, I mean, especially on the website, even to have like the Spotify, Apple
would. Yeah.
icons?
it would.
Yeah, I'm a pretty avid podcast person. And I would probably get caught up in that. And I would like suspect, maybe I'm totally making this up, but like some of the people that you like are seeing that like on Facebook might not be avid podcast people. They'd be like, oh, what's the easiest way to?
Yeah. Cause I mean, I'm capable of making QR. But I'll talk to Kaylin and just go from there. All right, so other than, QR codes and brochures, I think we're good, right?
Yes.
Just a quick update, I met with Gary Stockert again, Tuesday. And so we had previously sent him that spreadsheet. They needed to include some equity things in their mitigation plan. We provided them all the resources. He had requested, because we had put phone numbers and emails, he had requested maybe a position or a name be added to that because it's just a random, so we didn't know who we were calling. So I'll send the updated spreadsheet out to Whitney so she can email it to everyone for eyes. But I went in and some of them, like we had a very specific person's email, which I was able to find like executive director or just a general email. So in case that person left the organization, their spreadsheet was still up to date. I know one thing that I feel like we really have for that, we really have a lot covered for individuals who fall into low income, houseless, individuals with disabilities. We have even like previously incarcerated, mental health, substance use, some tribal nations, new Americans, translation services, even aging adults specific to, and then also to children. One thing that we kind of, according to all the research that I've done with what they need, still trying to find renters is one that they feel like could be easily missed. We're
Like
discussing
renters
that.
of people that have felonies and stuff like that.
So no, just like renters. So if there was a tornado or something, people who are renting versus homeowners could be less likely to easily alert. Yeah, and so we were like, there's no way we can make a list of all, even the big,
Yeah.
but we did realize too, because it's really cool, the city of Bismarck, they've got like areas and everything. So we noticed some of where the mobile home locations are actually at a greater risk for potential, tornado or impact, things like that. So we're gonna add some mobile home managers onto the list. If you guys can think of, I'll resend it out with all the updates I made. If you guys can think of anything else that we can add to it. He was very impressed by the list. He's going to be then the next part of his plan, which I can't remember if it's this year or next year, but then we'll be working actually with those POCs and how they can kind of build those communications, so. Yeah, and if anyone else is, this is kind of, I like emergency services. I am kind of
So
a,
what organization or agency is he part of?
so he is the city emergency manager,
Oh,
but he
okay.
falls
Got it.
under the fire department.
Got
Yeah. Yeah, but so if anyone else is interested in being, yeah, I think there was originally a subcommittee of us, and then I just kind of took it over because I nerd out about that stuff, so. Yeah,
Thank you for the work.
any questions on that? Okay, so other business, first things first, Jason, I know you had brought this up, and I don't know.
I have no idea what I'm
That could have been 7 things. So there was an email that came in from the Downtown Show Kindness Project. And is that where you got the idea of the flag mounts?
Somewhat.
Okay, because I received an email Friday. I have not followed up yet, which I will do tomorrow. They're kind of, it's a little bit confusing.
Do you want me to follow up on what I found out already?
Yes,
Okay, so the last time we spoke, you had asked if we could look into getting flagpole holders on the businesses downtown for 4th of July and different events so that they could put up American flags, whatnot. After talking with the Downtowners Association, the reality is that most of the businesses rent. And so they don't own any of the buildings that they're in. So we would have to find all of the rental companies and get permission from them. And Downtowners said instead, that's why they opted for hanging flags and different things. Is that?
Well, the banners on the street poles, I'm guessing, is what they're suggesting, because there are a number of different site-specific banners. For example, if you drive on Main Avenue in front of Camp Hancock, there are 3 or 4
Yep.
unique banners right at Camp Hancock, identifying that as the location where Bismarck was first founded.
Yep.
We've also seen banners from the colleges, universities
Yep.
in and around the downtown area as well. So I think maybe that's what they're thinking.
I think so.
Because that, the streetlights where those banners are hanging and city infrastructure, that's ours, so it makes it much easier to manage and control than something on private property.
and that's where the email kind of goes. They're specific to pride flags.
Okay,
She wants to know what steps need to be taken so a few pride flags can be flown downtown. Even just one light pole on the outskirts of downtown Bismarck that doesn't have any hardware or flags currently would be a huge step. She did reach out to the downtowners. They recommended we reach out to us.
we don't have any say on that.
Right.
Is there a process that people go through?
For the
Request a banner?
request of the flags,
Yeah.
it works through the city engineering department. They manage the encroachment agreements. Those are things where private property extends or is placed in the public right of way. There's a committee that reviews that. It's a handful of different staff from the necessary departments. And ultimately, if the committee and the group can find some consensus, it goes on to the city commission consent agenda for final approval, because the city engineer does not have full discretion on items in the right of way. So for example, the Bismarck Larks, every season, every baseball season, they put up special banners on the light poles around the ballpark. Every year that goes through city commission for approval.
Are they talking about doing it like in anticipation of Pride?
Yes.
Maybe I'll.
And, yep, and, because Dakota Outright stated they would pay for the hardware and flags. They just need to know what type, along with any insurance or encroachment related issues.
Probably not enough time between here and there to get it done, but something for next year.
Next year, okay.
Would city administration be able to lay out kind of the procedures so that we can pass it on to the citizen for next year? Okay, perfect. If you want to just email that to us.
really just starts with a phone call to the engineering department. That's their Tom Carey, and from there, it was a motion.
Okay, like sometimes it's forms and all of that.
There is an application. Yeah, there would be an application of information that they would be looking for. But it's not anything that is insurmountable or meant to be a barrier.
It would create the agreement.
Anyone else have any other business? Nothing? No question on our budget update?
Well, have we heard anything on the budget update? Is there any more?
We are just getting started this week in the throes of everything.
Okay.
So we've been waiting for a couple of things, having an assistant administrator, but also transitioning away from Commissioner Markworth, who has held the portfolio for the budget for 8 years.
Yeah.
After he announced he wasn't seeking reelection, that really disrupts where we are. We're kind of waiting until July now, when the new commission takes the table and the mayor assigns portfolios to really tear into it. Because at this point, it doesn't pay to start the process with somebody that may not be here throughout. So,
The mayor is going to be our next guest next recording guest on our podcast. And then we also have, her name's Haley. She has the Instagram new to NODAC page. And then we've got, I think, downtowners. And we've got a mental health and addiction specialist. We've got all the way through end of August booked for our recordings. I just can't keep it all straight. So, that's all I have. You got anything else? Thanks. Meeting is adjourned.
Everyone,
Thank you for coming.
very nice to meet you, Gabriel.
yeah, I was gonna ask you, are you gonna be at more city meetings in the future? or-
Yeah, I put in, application.
Very good.